Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NorthStar community. So excited to be here today, and always great to be able to talk about recovery. And our ultimate goal is to have a rich, full, meaningful life. And it can be done. I know some of us in that listen to this, we're again, we make the assumption we're all in recovery of some sort. So we know that there's lots of tough times in recovery, and there's times when you want to give up, and things are going so wrong for you, and all those things, and it just makes you want to. It's hard to believe that you can actually have a rich, full, meaningful life, but you can. But it takes time, it takes process, it takes courage, it takes effort, it takes time. But for people who have been in recovery for some time, will tell you, oh, it's worth every step of it is worth doing. But it's hard, and um, so today we're going to talk about gratitude since we're still in the Thanksgiving time period, and I hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving. Um, I hope that we can continue to find ways to remind ourselves that gratitude may be, if not the number one tool for recovery, it certainly is in the top three. And being in recovery you should have gratitude that you're even listening to this, because it's so important for us to just keep reminding ourselves of what's important and what's not. So the theme today is that we have to take our trauma and our abandonment and all the bad things that's happened to us and turn them into a gift. We don't have a choice in the matter, because we can either we can either move forward, get healthier, be more empathetic, more loving, more caring because of the trauma we've been through, or we can live with anger, with resentment, with bitterness, and live a miserable, addictive life. I mean, it really comes down to that. I wish there was some other way, but the fact is, I'm sorry for any and all of you, and all of us, for the trauma and abandonment that we've experienced in our lives. But in some ways, I'm not sorry. And I hope you understand this. I don't wish trauma and abandonment on anybody. Make sure you hear that. But for people who've recovered, we're all wise enough to know that that's part of what's made us who we are today, in the good ways. And so being able to see trauma and abandonment as a thing in the past, and it's our job to move forward. As I always remind people, we can't turn the clock back. There's nothing we can do that can make this in any way. We can't go back and fix anything that's happened to us in the past. But what we can do is we can get with other people in recovery. We can look to God. We can build up ourselves. We can get to know us better and to love us more. Quit isolating. Quit living with addictions. Quit being compulsive, quit being impulsive, quit destroying ourselves with other people and getting ourselves in bad relationships, using substances, all that stuff. It's not how to go. Certainly in the short term it feels that way, but it's not. We have to figure out ways how to move forward and have a life that's full and not full of addiction and behaviors. So I'm going to read Matthew 5 to you. Again, I always use the Message version. So when Jesus, this is the Beatitudes for you guys that know your Bible, Jesus has gone away. Lots of people pulling at him, so he goes up, climbs up a mountain to talk to people. When Jesus saw his ministry drawing huge crowds, he climbed a hillside. Those who were apprenticed to him, the committed, climbed with him. Arriving at a quiet place, he sat down and taught his climbing companions. This is what he said. And I'm just going to read the first three bullets. You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. With less of you, there's more of God and his rule. You're blessed when you feel you've lost what is most dear to you. Only then can you be embraced by the one most dear to you. You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. So Jesus is clearly telling us that the pain, the suffering, the struggling are all necessary for us to be where we need to be spiritually. Again, I'm not asking and hoping, and I hope we never ever face trauma or abandonment again. But the fact is, life's pretty tough sometimes, and life throws a lots of stuff at us that are very painful and destructive. So we talk about gratitude all the time. What is gratitude? So here's a couple of definitions. A feeling of appreciation or thanks. The quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for, and to return kindness. Finding thankfulness in difficult times, recovery. Gratitude is action oriented. So it's not a passive emotion of I feel glad, I sad, or those. It truly is a reaction. A couple of quotes for you here. I always like to read some of these. We can only be said to be alive in these moments when our hearts are conscious of our treasures. So again, it's Thanksgiving weekend, trying to promote the idea that we have to find things to be grateful for. It's how we get better. John F. Kennedy said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So when we talk about being grateful, it also means maybe we'll do random acts of kindness for people. Maybe we will write down stuff in a journal to help us understand our gratitudes. We'll spend a little more time in prayer. We'll spend a little more time exercising. These are all things about gratitudes. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. So these are all just some good quotes. So why would we want to practice gratitude? Why in the world do we keep talking about this? Why do I say it's, if not the most important tool for recovery, it's in the top 3? Why do we say these things? Well, we say these things because gratitude helps us to see life so much better. It helps us to celebrate the present. And is that so important for us in recovery? We have to figure out ways to let go of our past. We have to find ways to let go of our morbid thinking about the future. We have to live in the present. And gratitude can help us with that. Gratitude, it helps us become more participative in life. Gratitude can block toxic emotions, like I think depression, anxiety, morbid thinking, loneliness. All these things we can attack a little bit at a time with gratitude thinking. It's good for our physical well-being. We know that many people, stress is so destructive for most of us, and this is a way to help us reduce some of that. It will strengthen our self-worth, and with that, it helps us strengthen healthy people connections. And so there's just so many things of this. I mean, think about, so what's the opposite of gratitude? Resentment, ingratitude, projection, denial, envy, addictive behaviors. I mean, all these things. I don't know about you, but which one would you rather have? One where you feel joy and you feel grateful and you feel thankful and you feel hopeful and you feel connection, or resentment, bitterness, anger, all those things. So they did a study on people who live with intentional gratitude. And here's some things they found. People who were intentional about gratitude tended to exercise more regularly, report fewer physical symptoms, felt better about their lives as a whole, and were optimistic about the upcoming week compared to those who did not practice. They were more likely to have made progress toward important personal goals. They were They report higher levels of positive states of alertness, enthusiasm, determination, attentiveness, and energy compared to a focus on hassles or downward social comparison. So basically, when we're feeling grateful, when we can actually see some of that, we're not judging ourselves against others in negative ways. When we're not living with intentional gratitude, we can sometimes be really tough on ourselves and judge ourselves and judge us against others. So basically, what they found in this research, couple research things, was that if you practice gratitude, if you were intentional with it, you had better well-being, you were more sociable in the right ways, your spirituality was better, and that your materialism became less important and it became more sound and pragmatic. Pretty good, huh? So it's our choice again. What do? Do we take the past trauma, the past abandonments, and live with anger and resentment? Or do we find ways to move forward with it, to see the good in it, to let go of that past stuff and not make it so judgmental on ourselves, but make it better for seeing how other people may be suffering as well, and we can be there for them. So there's even some, some physiology here. If we live and practice gratitude, we reduce our toxic beliefs. Like, how many of us just feel like that people are going to harm us, people are going to hurt us, we can't trust anyone? Think about how you say that. When we think in absolute terms, when we say everyone, everybody, nothing, always, all those things, when we have that going, we have a lot of toxic beliefs. It's exhausting. Our cortisol levels get too high. We live agitated. We live with anger. We live with morbid expectations of the future. We do not look for the future to be better. Hear all these things. With gratitude, we can get rid of some of that. We can actually sense there's hope in our lives. We can connect with people in the right ways. We don't isolate. We don't just stay away from people and be angry the whole time. Well, guess what? In our brain, it helps us there too. Our brain starts firing different. Instead of shrinking and becoming less vibrant, our brains expand and they see things in a much different way. And when we have those chemicals in our bodies under control, it's just so much easier. And cortisol is one of those things that we're not designed to walk around with cortisol levels that are high. Those should be low. But if we're under trauma and anxiety and stress, and we see morbid expectations come in all sorts of places, all those chemistry is going to be out of whack, and it's going to make us much more quick to be offended, much more quick to see negatives, where intentional gratitude will help us fire and we get our chemistry back where we want it to be. With intentional gratitude, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine begin flowing. Our focus becomes stronger, our directive life becomes better, we feel more peaceful, and we feel more happiness. So there's definitely science here to show that living with gratitude actually does work, and it does help us to move on. So when we have troubles, when we have stuff hit us, we're not saying to be falsely grateful. We're just saying that eventually you can, as being in the present, it may help you make better decisions because of your gratitude levels are higher. And those are what we want. I say this, without gratitude, you'll never be able to recover. You will never be able to get past your addictive behaviors. You'll never be able to quit using. You'll never, all those things. And resentment is the anti-gratitude in our lives. Resentment is this drug of choice. We love it. It keeps us miserable. It keeps us disconnected. It keeps us disliking ourselves and all that. And it doesn't work. So here's again, we got to remember, gratitude requires practice. It requires focus. It requires a modality. You have to do things to get grateful, to make it even more grateful. You have to see intentional gratitude as a daily event. And I'm going to be honest, we all have them. I've had days where I could not care least about gratitude. There's nothing I could think of even to want to say that I was grateful for. But eventually I could. And then I could look back and see some of the tough stuff that, you know what, there were silver linings in it. People were there. God was there. All those kind of things. But gratitude is something that we have to do. Let's think about I'm going to read this to you. Sorry to keep looking down here, but the AA promises, I think, are so good. Pages 83 and 84 in a big book. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. Everybody hear that? We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. How's that sound, guys? Talk about gratitude. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. I don't know about you, but the promises from the AA promises are pretty good. And talk about kind of a list of what would look like for you if you were living with gratitude, I think you could create the list from this. So, how do we get grateful? How do we do this? I think number one tool is to do a gratitude journal every day. Write down a minimum of 3 things you're grateful for. More is even better. One of the things that I like to do once in a while is in NorthStar is ask us to write 100 things we're grateful for, because it really forces us to think about all the great things we have in our lives. And yes, we have days where there's not great things in our lives, but on the whole there are. And so gratitude journal, getting yourself in support groups, connect with the good people, with healthier people. Get the people out of your life to just tear you down, who are themselves so angry and bitter that they just cannot see life anyway but that. Not that you're better than them, it's just that you are moving forward. Live in the present, exercise, get yourself together, find some short-term goals to do that are positive and some excites you a little bit. And whether you like it or not, we got to stop doing some of the things we're doing. But we have a better chance if we will do the gratitudes. So as you can tell, I'm a big fan of gratitude. I think it is really critical to all of our recovery for us to make it and to live that rich, full, meaningful life. So I'm going to finish with Philippians 4, which again I love. But this is Paul writing: "Celebrate God all day, every day. Revel in Him. Make it as clear as you can to all whom you meet that you're on their side, working with them and not against them. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life." Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. I can't say it enough. Make yourself do it, even when you don't want to. Every day, try to write down something. So I thank you for joining me today. Gratitude is so important, as you can tell. And so for us to help you recover, we meet here at Walnut Grove Baptist Church at 7046 Cold Harbor Road, Mechanicsville, Virginia. We have meetings on Wednesday nights at 6:30, Friday nights at 6:30, and Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. And, of course, I do this online talk on Sundays. It usually comes out at 11:15 on Sundays. But you can also watch. So you can watch at the same time. Obviously, you know that. But you can also attend in person, and that's 11:15 Sanctuary. So just love to have you. On Wednesdays and Fridays, we feed you. We have childcare. We've got it set up for you to come if you can. If you're not local, I would love to hear from you. My number is 804-746-5081. You can email me at csimpson@wgva.church. So we always close our meetings with the prayer of serenity. So let's do that today. And again, I hope y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and what a time of year to be intentional with your gratitude. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. Taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that Jesus will make all things right if I surrender to His will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever and the next. Amen. Again, thank you for joining, and I pray you'll all have a great week. Thank you.